Hi, welcome to my channel. This is Kim and I am from Country Craft Creations. I'm a design team member, and today I'm going to be making a storage box for a couple of folios that I'm going to be making. The paper I'm going to use is by Authentique, and it is called Sea Maiden. And I have already made a small project that I posted on the Scrapbookers of Country Craft Creations page, and so I do have a couple things missing from the sticker sheet and the what do you call this? There's a name for it. I can't remember what it's called. But these aren't sticky. These are just cut aparts, or they're perforated. So anyway, that's why this one's missing. Normally it's there. But there's some that you can use. I like that they have the pennant type flags at the bottom, so that you can cut those out, or punch those out actually, and use them in your project. This says salty but sweet. Salty air and mermaid hair. In high tide or low tide, I'll be by your side. So there's some cute ones in there. The sticker sheet, I've used a couple of these also. There was an oval picture here with a really pretty mermaid on there, and I've already used that on an easel card / drawer that I had made. But there's some really cute ones on here too. You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop. A lot of cute pictures with young swimmers and young kind of vintagey looking women. Then you have more of the mermaid and some shells and different things on the beach. So I thought there were some cute ones and a good variety to use on there. So then these are the cut aparts. These are 3x4, and there's some again, there's some orange or coral in here, and normally that's not a color scheme that I would go with, but it looks really good with this aqua turquoisey color. And so there's pictures that look more drawn, and then pictures that look more realistic also. So I think that's nice that they mix those together. And then they also have the ones that have the sayings on there. So that's a nice page. And then on the back, it's kind of like an, what do they call that? Eyelet? No, not eyelet. What do they call that? Oh, there's a fabric that people use that has this design, and I can't think of what it's called. But however, these are not like little holes. They look more like pearls on the paper. I don't know if that was a very good description or not, but anyway, this one is one of my favorites because I like anything that kind of looks like a natural board or wood. And this is mimicking like the board on a, I don't know, like on the boardwalk or something. There's a greenish color along with the beigeish tan color, so I really like that. And on the opposite side are some real bright, colorful, bubbly, circular patterns. Really bold and pretty. This one has a light print on the back, or as a background. You can't see it very well probably in the camera, but there looks like real small words, and they're a greenish color. And then in the upper corner there's a small design like with seaweed, and then on the bottom you have a little mermaid. Oh, did I do the back? Nope. These are some like yellow and green type mermaids that are floating around and are in different figures, different shapes. I have some shells and seaweed on this one. Again, orange it's really a vibrant, bright, pretty color. And then this one kind of looks like the tail of a mermaid. This is good for your borders. They have the natural line to cut, and then on the back it's kind of a sand feel to it. This looks like sea glass, and again the color scheme is really pretty, kind of teals, aquas, a little bit of blue, a little bit of green. And on the back there is an image of mermaids and some underwater type things too. This one is a pretty pattern. There's a little bit of pink, orange in the corner here, but it's real subtle. It's not over the whole page. And then again, this looks like a mermaid's tail too, but it's a solid color, whereas that other one had different colors. This is a greenish color, or turquoise, not turquoise, teal, I don't know. No, aqua. I think aqua is the color I want. And a light beige color. And I always like their collage pages. It's one of my favorite things. And so this one gets the prize for my #1. I like the shell. I like the natural looking, or the realistic looking face on the woman and the people down here. this looks more mature to me than maybe some of the other prints that you might see for summer and beach themes. So I like that it's more mature. And on the back then we have little seashells and fish, and it's just divided into patterns based off of the picture. So that's the paper line I'll be using. It is beautiful. Anytime I get the Authentique, I love the texture of the paper, and so that's a bonus. So this box I'm going to be making is kind of, reminds me of a magazine holder, but it'll be a little bit smaller. And I'm going to give you the measurements of the chipboard so you can pre-cut and then follow along. I have the measurements on sticky notes, and so you can freeze your camera and write it down. I keep a little notebook when I'm watching videos, just so I can go back then and do it at my own time and not have to have the video on. So anyway, you're going to need 2 pieces that are 5 by 7. Now I will tell you that on one of the 5x7s, I am going to take out a center. So you can do a square, you can do a rectangle. I just happen to have a mat that was already, had the oval already cut out. So I'm doing an oval. But like I said, you could do a square, and it would just be real easy to draw it out with a ruler and then take your X-Acto knife and cut it out. But I'm going to be putting some acetate behind there. So I wanted a cutout. So that was one of the 5x7s. You're going to need a 5x10 and 2 7x10s. The lighting in my basement's terrible, so I hope you can see this okay. So this is actually your back piece. It's going to be standing like that. The 2 7x10s, we're going to be doing some cutting so that they turn out like this. And these are the side pieces. And so for this, you are going to need the 7x10 chipboard, and I'm going to show you how you should cut that. So if this were my 7x10 piece, I'm going to place a tick mark. I lost my pencil. There it is. I'm going to put a tick mark at the 3-inch mark going across the top, and I'm going to scoot this over here, and I'm going to put a little mark at the 3-inch over here. And then I have a cutter that I can cut through chipboard real nice. But if you don't, then what you'll want to do is get your X-Acto knife, or I just use one of these. You're going to go from one mark that you made to the other. And I have a different cutting board. I don't like to mess up, even though they say it's self-healing. I don't want to take any chances, so I always use a different one. So yeah, you just put your ruler at one tick mark and the other tick mark and line that up. You can draw a line if you want, but it's not really necessary. And you're just going to cut that piece off. Now obviously this was cardstock, not chipboard. So if it's chipboard, you'll probably have to go through a couple of times. And then you'll have 2 of these, one for each side. Okay. So that's the chipboard measurements, and now you're also going to want to cut what I call construction strips, and that's to attach your chipboard pieces together. I've seen people do this in different ways. What I do is I cut some paper from my cardstock, and I am using the artisan cardstock from Country Craft Creations because it's got a linen in it and it's very durable, and you know, it's not, a lot of times when you have some papers, they are a little bit thinner and you'll be scoring and you might make a hole or whatever. This just seems to be a little bit stronger paper. So I'm not really sure how many of these strips I'm going to need. So I cut out about 8 of them. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 8 or 10 of them. And they measure 1.5 inches across. And these are 12 inches long. And just put them on your scoreboard. And I am losing everything. Where did I put that? Here it is. And then you just score at 3/4 of an inch. Okay. Then you're going to burnish that. So fold on that score mark and burnish. And this is what I call my construction strips. And so this is how I'm going to attach the pieces of my box. So go ahead and get your pieces cut and your construction pieces cut and scored, and let's get started on the construction of the box. Actually, one thing we're going to want to do before we put our box together is if you are cutting out some sort of center from one of your 5x7s for the front piece, and whether you do a square, rectangle, oval, circle, whatever, I think we need to go ahead and cut our paper, the paper we're going to use to decorate it on, and get the center cut out before we put it together. It'll be too hard to do the measuring and stuff after it's constructed. So what I'm going to do is I want this paper to be on the front, and so I'm going to line it up where I want it to be. And then I'm just going to flip it over and draw that oval. Okay, so this will be my front piece, and then I'm going to turn this over because this will be the back side. It'll be facing the inside of the box. And I'm going to also want this orange. Now this is also Authentique paper. It's got a pattern to it, and it's, well, I just saw the name of the color. I don't remember, but they have different colors that match their paper lines really well. I'm going to line this up. Now I'm going to turn it over this way, and I'm going to draw that same oval. And I'm going to use my X-Acto knife to cut out those ovals. And if you just go slow, it should be fine. And I'm just going to follow that line, and then I'm going to put it up against the chipboard to make sure that it lines up. And I may have to do some sanding along the edges, but I'm just going to follow this line around, going real slow and in little amounts at a time. I'm going to go ahead and turn it. Turn it again. I have a lot of dies, and I was hoping I could have an oval that would fit exactly like the mat that I had, and of course that didn't happen, so had to go to plan B. Now, this may not turn out perfect, but there's always a way to fix that. You can always add decorative elements around so that you can kind of hide if you've got anything that you're not happy with. And I kind of went off on that one. And I'll show you what I mean, because it's never going to be perfect. Not when I do it anyway. Okay, so when I look at this, I see a little piece right here that I just want to come by and cut that off. I am going to be sponging ink around here, so that will help disguise some of the mistakes also if it doesn't look exactly round or oval to you. And so now I'm just going to hold it up against my chipboard and see if it's going to work. Now I do see a little bit of white here, but that's going to be totally fine because, like I said, this is actually my inside piece and you won't see it, but if I ink around the edges, that should cover that up. So I'm going to do the same thing with this paper. I'm going to go ahead and take my X-Acto knife and cut this out, and then I'll lay it on top just to make sure that I got it exactly right and that my oval is in the right spot. Then I'll start constructing the box. That makes more sense. Okay, one more thing before I start putting the box together. I keep thinking of things as I am going through this, and so I want to make sure that I make it the easiest as possible. So I am going to put acetate inside of my cutout right here, and so I cut out a piece that is 4 by 5.5. And this is the acetate, and it's kind of a yellow color, and I put it up against the paper and I think it'll be fine. It's not a perfect match, but it should be okay. And so I want to attach this so that it is covering that oval. So after I cut it out, I went ahead and put some score tape around the outside of the print, or around the oval, and I'm going to go ahead and lay that acetate on there so that it will be too hard to do it, I would think, after it's put together. So I was glad I thought of that before I kept going. So Let me go ahead and take the backing off. And I just put a couple little pieces there just so it doesn't flap open. So I did a rectangle and then I just filled in a couple pieces. Okay, so there's a right side and a wrong side to mine. So I want to make sure that the right side is facing the front. And I'm just going to make sure I have that lined up. And I'm just going to go ahead and press that down. Okay, now that is going to make our life much easier. So that's what I have. And then I went ahead and I did ink around this so you can see what it's going to look like. Okay. And then I don't know, I'll probably have something coming off the side here. I don't know, we'll see what happens. But okay, so now I promise we're going to get the construction started. So you need your 5x7 piece that you have not cut out of. I'm going to have this, I don't know where I got this chipboard. I just had it laying around. So I'm going to put the words up top. So that is 5x7. And I'm going to place a construction strip. And what I do is you can either eyeball it by laying down a piece of paper, one of the construction strips that's folded in half, lay it on the paper and then snip it so you know how long, or you can measure all your pieces and cut your strips that length. So this is 5 inches. Okay, so I went ahead and I cut it 5 inches. And what's nice is being it's 5x7, then the rest of that 12-inch strip is going to be on the side. And I am going to do some cutting of the corners. Now you want to make sure that you cut it correctly so that you don't see anything, any of the chipboard through the paper. So what I'm going to do is the side that is folded, I am going to cut. And I'm not going to go to the corner. I'm going to go down just about 2 millimeters, and I'm going to cut it at an angle like so. Okay, and you'll see that it's not a sharp point, but there is a blunt point at the end. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Oops. And so I go down about 2 millimeters and cut at an angle. So you can see that one also is not a sharp edge. And so if you open it, you can see that it's not at a point also. It's got that little bit of a stub on the end. Okay. And that's going to do a much nicer job when you're putting your box together. All right. So let's get some glue. I am going to be using the art glitter glue. You can use score tape if you want. That to me, that's kind of pricey. To do the construction with that, and I think this glue is strong enough, and because we're putting strips of paper on the inside and the outside of the box, I think it's going to be real sturdy without using score tape. So I have to put my pin somewhere where I'm not going to lose it. Okay, so what you're going to do is have this paper folded in half, and you're going to place it so that the opening is to the inside. So the creased part goes right up against the edge of your chipboard, and that's where you're going to glue. So you only put glue on one side, and I'm not having any glue come out. Let me make sure that it's open. Okay, there we go. I say that and then it stops again. There we go. Okay, I'm just going to put some glue along the outside edge, a little bit on the inside. The fold goes to the bottom, and I'm going to line it up as close to the edge as I can. And that's what's nice about the wet glue too. You have a little bit of wiggle room for time. So if it's not right where you want it, you can shift it a little bit. And I'm just going to make sure that that's adhered real well. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and attach the front. So I'm going to now place glue on this side and place this right on top of it, and then we'll have our front ready. So I'm going to put some glue here. Okay. And I'm going to just lay this line it up. And perfect. And I want to make sure that it's sealed real well, so I'm going to go ahead and run my hand, or you can use your bone folder. Okay, so that is the first one. And now I'm going to do a side. And so I'm going to, this is 7 inches. I am going to cut the corners so that I have a stub rather than a point. And I cut them at an angle. And I'm going to place it on the edge. Yep. Put your glue on. And we're going to do that to all 4 sides. And attach the other pieces to it. So right up against the edge. And I'm going to go ahead and make sure it's sealed real well. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get my side piece. So you're going to, oh, that's my bag. So you're going to need one of your 7x10s that you cut the angle off of, and that's going to be a side piece. Okay, so if you turn it this way, this is going to be the side. So you want the angle towards the front where your oval is. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put glue. And I'm going to line up this with the edge. And open it and make sure it's sealed. And I do see a little bit of overhang on this side, so I am going to snip so that it does not show. And it probably wouldn't anyway, because we're going to put construction strips on the outside too, but sometimes it's the little things that bother me. So I'm going to snip it. Okay. I feel better about that now. Okay, turn it, and now we're going to do the back piece. So directly across from our front. So that's going to be your 7x10 piece that we're going to put right here. So I need a 5-inch construction piece, and I already cut the angles on this one, again at a blunt end, not at a sharp end. And I'm going to line that up so that the crease is at the edge and it opens to the inside, the strip does. Right up against the edge. It's when I do things like this that I know I need new contacts or glasses, because everything's blurry as I get real close to look. Okay, and let's turn it one more time. Oh, I lied. I'm going to go ahead and attach this piece. I'm going to go ahead and put that one on. So I'll put glue now on the outside. I used to be kind of intimidated to make these boxes, I'm not going to lie. But once you do it, I would say after you've done it twice or so, you feel much more comfortable. And I'm going to go ahead and lift that up. Make sure it's attached real well. And we have one more side. And that's our other one, that's 7x10. We want to make sure that the slit or the angled off part goes towards the front. Okay, and so we need one more 7-inch construction piece, and I do need to trim those edges. And I'm going to put some glue on here, and then we have the bottom all connected. This will be a fast one. It'll be fun decorating though with that paper. And I'm pretty sure I have a mermaid chipboard piece. I don't know where I got it, but I think I have one. Okay, let's put this up against the edge. Make sure that it's not overlapping anything. Good. And I'm going to go ahead and press on the inside too. And then attach the outside piece. Now we are going to put paper down on the bottom before we do the sides. You don't want to do the decorative paper on the insides until you've done your construction strips though, because you need to cover those up. So, but we can do the bottom. If that makes sense. It'll make sense when you see me do it. Okay. Okay, so now you have to decide what kind of paper you want for the bottom. And that we're going to cut 1/8 of an inch smaller. So instead of 5 by 7, we're going to do 4 7/8 by 6 7/8. And I do ink around the corners or the edges of my paper. So I'm going to go ahead and get my paper cut and inked, and then I'm going to go ahead and put it in the center. I cut out 2 10-inch strips and 2 7-inch strips. So we have the 10 inches going on the back sides that are longer, and the 2 7-inch strips that will be going up towards the front. Okay, like so. I have already angled them, so I just need to glue. I am going to do the 7-inch strips first towards the front because it's really important to me that the front matches up and lines up real good, because that's the part you're going to see the most. So I want to spend the most time making sure everything lines up with that, the front. So I'm going to put this at the edge. You'll notice I did put that paper down on the bottom. Okay. And I'll go ahead and glue this 7-inch strip on. And remember, it opens to the inside, the creases on the outside. And I'm going to make sure that's down real good. Okay, so I'm going to put these off. I am going to go ahead and put the 10-inch strips on before I start folding everything up. I'm going to turn this around so it's a little bit easier, and I'm going to go ahead and glue the 10-inch strips. And I think I need to trim this one just a hair. Yep, that's better. Okay, oops. And around the edge. Got a little, there we go. Press down. I do see a little piece of, oh, it won't matter. I keep forgetting. I'm going to put the construction strips on the outside too. Okay, one more. Well, we have a lot more, but one more until I start bringing up the sides. to the side. Nah, I'll do it like this. Hopefully you can see and I can get this in camera if I put this up. So now I'm going to put glue on the outside of this 7-inch strip, and then I'm going to bring up my front and attach it like so that I have my corners. If they don't meet perfectly on the side, so let's say I glued this, where's my camera? Let's say I glue this and you have a little bit of a gap. Well, that's why we're putting construction strips on the outside too, so you won't see that gap. Okay, so if it doesn't line up exactly the way you want, we can cover that up. This is kind of an obnoxious shape to work with. Okay, here we go. So I'm putting the glue down, and then I'm going to bring up this side. I'm going to line it up. I'm going to turn it so that I can see it for a second. I need to make sure that everything is lined up as close as possible. Okay, so here's the little gap. It's not really a gap, it's just not a clean, because you can just see a little bit of a space right there, but we're going to take care of that, so no worries. Okay, I'm going to do the other side on the front. So glue. Now, when we do construction strips on the outside, we also do it along the top here so that we have a nice finish too. And I'm going to lay that on its side. Push down. Sorry, I'm out of camera probably, but I gotta get this down right. Okay, so our box is coming together. Now we need to do the back. And so we've already put the construction strips on the 10-inch side. So we're going to put glue on both of these and then lay this back piece on top, and then we have the basic construction of our box. How easy is that? Okay, so I'm going to turn this like this. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do both the glue on both of them at the same time. And then I'll have to turn it so that I can push down on it and make sure that it's attached real well. And then glue over here. Okay. So now I'm going to this one's lined up. I'm going to turn it and make sure that this one also gets lined up. Okay, so there's the front. It's kind of hard to show you with my camera set up the way it is. But there we have it. That's the basic. Okay, so now you're going to do the same thing along the outside. You're going to make strips for the outside where the two pieces meet. So you're going to need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for the counting the bottom, 7, 8, 9. There's going to be about 10 to 12 more that we're going to do because remember we cut the tops too. So I'm going to go cut my strips so that it goes faster on camera, and I'll be right back. Alright, so you can see that I started putting the construction strips along the outside also to make the box more durable and to hide up those seams. So let me just show you. It's the same thing we had before. The strips are at 1.5 and we scored them at 3/4. I did angle the corner. I cut off a snip and we're just going to lay that on the side here and glue that down with the glue on the inside, and then that's going to make it more durable. So again, the same thing on the inside as the outside, but now instead of putting the glue here, we're putting the glue in here. As you finish up putting your construction strips around the pieces that we combined, you are going to want to put little pieces along the tops too. So you're just going to do it the same way. You go ahead and measure how long you need for your construction strip. You go ahead and angle the corners, and then you're going to put glue on the inside. And I used to, before I really knew what I was doing, I used to use paint and paint the chipboard along the edges, but it still wasn't nice and neat looking. To me, it looked kind of messy and unfinished. So it is best to put your cardstock along the outside, the tops of things too. So I'm going to turn this, hopefully you can see. I'm just going to set this on this top, line it up, push down. Okay, and so you have a nice neat top now. And I'm already put 2 on the side here. And now I'm going to do the same thing here, just measure a piece, snip it, and lay it down. We're almost done with the construction strip so that we can start putting our decorative paper on. Okay, the matting that I do, I go 1/8 of an inch smaller than the actual size of the piece. You do sometimes need to remeasure though when you combine a box, because when you add the other piece on top of it, or on, you know, on the sides or on the bottom or whatever, sometimes that does add a little bit more, and you may not want your paper to be too short. So I always remeasure just to make sure. Everything is pretty easy to mat. I just want to make sure you understand how to do the side, because we did this cut along the edge. So I cut my paper, I stood up my box, and because the length, I want the paper to go all the way to the bottom, I stood my paper or my box up with the paper to the bottom, and I measured how high up I wanted so that I cover up anything down here I don't want showing. So then you can do this one of 2 ways. You can make a mark at where you want to cut here, and a mark as to where it is over here. Or you can just do the 3 inches. I think it's about 3. I'm going to put the paper where I want. Yeah, I think we're going to go 3 and 3 like we did on the board. So I'm going to get I'm going to get this. Okay, I got to get organized here. And I'm going to make a mark at the 3 inch. Kind of had a little mark there already. The 3 inch. And then I'm going to go over here on go down 3 inches and make a mark. And then I'm going to put it in my cutter, so that in the cutting tray I have each of the marks in the cutting tray. So here's my 3 inch. I'm going to put that in the cutting tray, and then down here I line that up, and I should be ready to cut. Measure twice, cut once. Okay, and I will be inking my edges. Let's see if this, perfect. So that's what it's going to look like. Okay. So go ahead and cut your papers. Again, you might want to remeasure, go 1/8 of an inch smaller, ink your edges, and I'll come back and show you once all my paper is on. This is the final box after everything's been decorated and all the paper has been put on, and I put some paper on the bottom and the inside. I did have a chipboard piece that was a mermaid, and I used, where's that at? I just had it. Oh, here it is. I used the Inca Gold and put that on the mermaid, and when you rub it, it becomes real shiny. I also did that for this starfish. I punched out the word bliss, and I have a couple sequins scattered around that I glued, and I have two little cream colored flowers up top. So this will be what holds the organizers that I'm going to make, folio / organizer. I'm going to make 2 of them and put those in there. And oh, I did put a line of pearls around here, and I had an oval frame that I used the Big Shot to cut out. So that is it. I will continue another video with the folios that I'm going to put inside. So thanks for watching, and again, this paper is from Country Craft Creations. You can visit their website online. Fast shipping, super wonderful customer service. So let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.